Hey, how you doing guys, and welcome to another video. So with the Book of Boba Fett Chapter 7, the finale recently releasing, we finally got a look at Cad Bane facing off with one of his oldest rivals, Boba Fett, in live action. Although us very dedicated fans of the Clone Wars have probably already seen the obscure unfinished episode of that series where Cad Bane and Boba Fett face off, many people certainly haven't. So for many this was the pair's first encounter on screen and they were shocked at Bane's death. But there was one very tiny little detail that many people missed which points to Bane remaining alive, albeit in very bad shape. Even I missed this detail the first time around. So before we start, tell me in the comments if you think he should be alive in the first place. Because although there is evidence that he is it the right decision? So hit the subscribe button below and let's get into it. After facing down with the man who gave him his infamous helmet dent all of those years ago, Boba Fett managed to get the better of Cad Bane and topple him to the ground. At that point, Boba utilized all of the training and channeled all of the suffering he felt from the death of the Tuskens. Using that, he impaled Cad Bane right through the chest with his gaffy stick, seemingly putting an end to his long and illustrious bounty hunting career. If you look carefully though, there was one massive detail which even I missed on my first go around. As Cad Bane breathes his final on-screen breath, a tiny little cybernetic unit activates and begins flashing with an ominous red light. On top of that, the unit begins beeping in a tone consistent with the heartbeat of a Duros. Now they even linger on this shot for a pretty long period of time, obviously meaning it's intentional to show us that there is still life within him. Very interestingly though, the monitor only switches on once he stops breathing. This pretty much confirms that it is connected to his vital signs in some way. He clearly didn't activate it manually. On top of that, it makes it pretty clear that this system is intended to keep him alive in the event that his lungs can no longer intake air, possibly through his breathing tube seen on the neck. I really don't think that the gaffy stick penetrated the heart, considering Duros have their hearts much higher up and are pretty small. We know that Cad Bane is no stranger to augmenting his body, and you can even see the major examples of this through the patch on his head in this very scene. This patch was first seen in Star Wars The Bad Batch and is currently assumed to have come from the result of him being blasted in the head by Boba Fett at the end of the Clone Wars. For those of you who don't know, in the very final days of the war, Boba Fett staged a mutiny against Cad Bane because of the way he was treating their hostages and bounty targets. Boba wanted to treat them with more dignity, but Cad Bane scoffed at this weakness. This, as you can imagine, led them into a Western standoff where they were both as quick as each other. Cad and Boba fired their blasters, with one putting a dent in Boba Fett's helmet and the other hitting Bane in the head. This is where the cybernetic patch on his head comes from and is presumably what is keeping him alive in the first place, along with all of the other life support systems seen beeping. Cad Bane is one of the most pragmatic bounty hunters to ever live. He doesn't take unnecessary risks and he always plans for the future. As an example, he was very fond of taking bounty on Jedi and Force using targets. So knowing this, he didn't just go forth and attack, he planned carefully, loading out his equipment pretty much exclusively for anti-Force user gear. Things like his reinforced breathing tubes to prevent Force chokes, his jet boots to counter and mimic Force jumps, his electro stunner to mimic Force lightning, and even his stolen Mandalorian van braces. Cad Bane was not one to bring a knife to a gunfight, if you get what I mean. So now that we know Cad Bane is no stranger to cybernetics, it's very likely that he had this other life support system installed into his body as part of his breathing tubes to keep blood pumping after he takes a hit. And also as a side note, the audio description on Disney Plus also does mention the red light switching on, so it's definitely intentional whichever way you look at it. The real question is, what does it actually mean? Is it a life support system or is it something else? In fact, his original death and rebirth at the hands of Boba Fett in the unfinished Clone Wars episode may be what pushed him to install such a system. He was pretty much dead after that fight and only survived with the cybernetic patch on his head. So maybe it scared him so badly that he decided to install a secondary life support system. Although we don't see him wearing the same one in the Bad Batch, which is set after that fight, so it's possible he installed it afterwards, or maybe it's just hidden under his jacket. But I do have a big theory about that, which I'll get into later in the video. Unfortunately for Cad Bane, that dreaded day that he had planned for finally came and the system kicked into action. Originally he got his reinforced breathing tubes in order to stop Force chokes, but it's possible that he modified them to fit this new purpose, especially as he's getting older. He's certainly not as agile as he used to be, although he's still in top shape for a bounty hunter. They say bounty hunting is a profession without a lot of veterans, if you know what I mean. Now this cybernetic life support system obviously can't keep him alive forever, so because of this it is likely also sending out an emergency alert beacon to someone very close to him, one who can get him to Bacta immediately and get the medical droids onto him. Who is that mysterious contact, you might ask? Well, it's none other than his loyal techno service droid, Todo 360. Todo was a very glaring omission from the Book of Boba Fett finale, so that has to leave us with the question, where is he? Since we didn't see Cad Bane's ship at all in the series, he may have been waiting inside it, ready to hear back from Cad at any moment. This would put him within range in the perfect time window to save Bane, get him back to the ship, and into the care of medical droids as soon as possible. Let's be honest here, Cad Bane is over 71 years old at the time of his supposed death, so it's pretty likely that he has a Bacta tank on board his ship to rest and replenish after every mission. As we went over before, he is one of the most practical and pragmatic bounty hunters out there. He doesn't take unnecessary risks and he knows what will keep him going in the long run. And that includes a Bacta tank. Now the big theory that I have for Cad Bane's life support system is that we could get it revealed in the Bad Batch Season 2, which we know is coming out in just a few months. In that series, they may show Cad Bane installing the life support system that he uses in the Book of Boba and then put it into action. It could be a situation where he takes a stab wound to the chest and then the life support system kicks in to save him in the exact same way it does in this show. That would be the very tight Dave Filoni connective tissue that we're all used to and will generate a lot of fan hype. It will renew the speculation that he is still in fact alive after Boba Fett stabbed him. To be really honest with you guys, when the post-credit scene began, I thought they were going to give us a plot twist with Boba taking Cad hostage after healing him. Sort of like forcing Cad Bane to serve under the new Fett crime family because he was fairly defeated. It's actually also very possible that we'll get this storyline expanded on and continued in The Mandalorian Season 3, because we pretty much know Boba Fett is going to be part of that storyline anyway. Him and Din Djarin are on fantastic terms and they've sworn an oath to each other, so it makes sense that they will work together to recapture Mandalore or take it back from the Imperial remnants. Boba is also a Mandalorian himself, with Django being a foundling, so that's added motivation for him to join the fight. Although we did hear him say that place is cursed when asked about Mandalore in the Mando Season 2. So maybe he's too afraid to go there after hearing the stories of what happened. I wouldn't blame him at all. Now, the last point I want to make is more of a thematic one relating to Cad Bane's character, which gives more credence to the theory. In pretty much everything he does, everything he equips himself with, and all of his strategies, he is one thing: a realist. He is prepared for every encounter and he always gets back up. The reason Cad Bane fits into this series is because he does what Luke Skywalker said in episode 6, always get back up. In an indirect way, that was foreshadowing for Cad Bane's character, albeit on the darker side of things. Cad Bane got up after taking a blaster bolt to the head at the end of the Clone Wars, he got back up after being sent into prison during the war, and he will get back up one last time. Now, I don't think we'll get a redemption arc for Cad, but there have recently been hints that we may get some family backstory in the time of the High Republic. We may just find out why his family have such beef with Jedi and Force users. So tell me down in the comments what you think about this theory and how you think it could play out. The biggest question I want to ask you guys though is, should he even be kept alive at all? We know that recently characters pretty much don't die anymore in Star Wars, which could sometimes take away from the stakes of a story. Personally, I don't mind at all as long as it fits well into the story, but what do you think? Tell me in the comments down below. So that is my full theory on Cad Bane possibly remaining alive and appearing in some future series, maybe even in The Mandalorian Season 3. Thanks so much for watching, really hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to subscribe to join the Star Force and leave a like while you're down there. Cheers guys, hope to see you in the next one. And if you made it this far, I always like to leave a little Easter egg for you guys, so drop in the comments, thank Mr. Cad Bane.